Like, it could be 45 minutes of me fucking rambling about everything.
That's the whole goal. The goal is just to get you rambling.
Yeah, fair.
Alex, I want to say, first of all, thanks so much for reaching out on the Sydney Bartender Exchange, I think is where we first sort of interacted. It was like those small little interactions like that when I first started Cocktail Foamer that like really gave me the confidence to like keep going. Yeah,
exactly. So what was it? It was probably July, I think, last year. Yeah, you made your first posts and I looked at the product itself and I went, that's pretty cool, let's have a look. And then, over the months, we've just progressed and developed in, the personal and business relationship that we've got. So, yeah, it's interesting that from one small interaction, it's growing into what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you again for having me in today. Excited to be here and see what it's all about. So, yeah.
Dude, I did one with...
Also, I have to be like, ugh.
I did one with... Who did I do one with? This dude from Dispatched Imports, Aaron. I fucking got half his head out the frame the whole time, and I'm like, oh. Like, it's not stopping me from posting it. But didn't look.
You can just do like zoom ins for those parts. Easy,
dude. I guess I wanna find out a little bit about your hospitality career because all I really know is that you've like dived headfirst into these sort of mobile bartending glow parties. But I guess we'll get into that. But where did you start your hospitality journey? Have you always grown up in Sydney?
Yeah, so I'm Sydney born and bred, southwest Sydney, so Canterbury Bankstown area. Lived out that way for 25 odd years. Started my career as an 18-year-old, finished school. What are we going to do with ourselves? Yep, sweet. Sister works in a hospo while she's studying. Yep, cool. I'll get you a job. Easy. So I started off at an RSL. It was Club Rivers in Riverwood. Gaming attendant, beverage attendant. Working with the pokies, learning how to make really shit boiled coffees, the whole lot. Fast forward about 4 years and I'm still there. Just puttering along, no plans. And it kind of hit a point where I got sick of it. And I went, all right, I'm going to move on to something else. Started working at Woolloomooloo on the wharf, and it was peak summer season, pre-COVID, but back end of the lockout restrictions, and corporate end of year parties on the water fucking get pretty loose. So got a bit of an experience with that in pumping out drinks, doing 18 gin and tonics for a bunch of suits that can't even stand at this point because they're just pumping into it. And that kind of got me conditioned to the old school hospo way before what we currently sit at. Through there, I bounced around, trying out a few different venues and positions, working in gaming lounges, cocktail bars, just pubs. Even had a short stint at the strippers, which was good fun. Got that whole exposure and the old school way and thoughts behind it. Fast forward a couple of years, moved over to Newcastle, spent about 6 years there. And that's when I got into supervisory and management roles, just really trying to progress the career, but still just sat there, had no idea what I wanted to do with myself. Looked into it and I went, oh cool, I'll get my Cert 3 in hospitality. Went down to the local TAFE at Hamilton, I had a chat with them, they go, oh yeah, we'll get you enrolled, and then they talked about just base experience and went, no, do your diploma. So 12 months later, got my diploma of hospitality management, and then COVID cracked everyone, so we were locked down.
Did you end up finishing the certificates?
Yeah, I did. It was about 6 months before.
I'm always curious. I mean, I think I've signed up like to them twice, always through like work.
Yeah.
Just because like there's been incentives for me, not just to literally to get the certificate.
Yeah.
But did you ever have a point in your career where those certificates actually helped you get a gig?
Yeah. So that was the next part I was getting into. So those certificates fast-tracked me straight into upper management.
Oh,
straight
wow.
off the bat. So I had basic bar management experience in little quirky cocktail bars. They were pumping out 45, 50 grand in revenue per month. Not much, opening like 3 nights a week. Like enough for, a small team of like 3 or 4 and, the owner to take a little paycheck home. COVID hits, restrictions start easing, and then I get a notification on Seek looking for a bar and venue manager for the Peel Inn Hotel. I went, where the fuck is that? I've never heard of that. It was in a little town in Nundle next to Tamworth.
Okay.
Yeah. And I spoke to my partner and she went, fuck it, let's do it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? Applied, they contacted me, got us down there for the weekend to get a feel for the community, the pub, how it operates, and have a bit of a trial run on the floor just to make sure, I'm not talking shit. Head over heels with it. We went, yeah, awesome, let's give it a go in the country. Worst fucking decision of my life. I hate the country. Our neighbours for 10 kilometres were cows. Literally just these quiet little remote towns. Nothing's going on. You can hear just how still everything is. It's not my vibe. I'm, more of a hustling, bustling kind of guy. Then with...
How long were you out there for before you called it?
18 months.
Oh, you gave it a good crack.
Yeah, at 12 months is when we went, we need a bail. So I was there for about 6 or 8 months at the Peel Inn. And I went, I'm not enjoying this. It's not happening. And I got a position at another place called Gray's at the Willow Tree Inn, which is a steakhouse on New England Highway on the way into Tamworth. So you're 3.5 hours into your drive, and there's this random little hotel steakhouse thing, and you think, what the fuck is this? And you get in there, and it's great, all farmed cattle that they've all got grain-fed, minimum 6 weeks dry aged in their own chambers, and it's not just a little cabinet. They have full walk-in cabinets there, and that was pretty cool. So all the passing through traffic that know that spot would go in there, and it was nuts. They were offering Chateaubriands, and
wow.
not just your classic ribeyes or anything like that, like big proper cuts of like country meats. World-renowned chefs were in there as well. That had worked in England as like Michelin star chefs as well, that were running this little quiet country place.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Little gold mine in the middle of nowhere.
It was. So
what's it called, did you say?
Graze, so Graze at the Willow Tree Inn.
Graze at the Willow Tree Inn.
Yeah, it's an odd one. So if you're ever going out to the Tamworth Country Music Festival, keep an eye out for that one on the left as you're heading in towards Tamworth. 1000% you won't regret it.
Yeah,
it's literally one of the best steaks houses I've come across. So I was there for, again, only probably about 3 or 4 months, cruising along with it. And while I was there, funnily enough, that's when I had my youngest. So she was born, and there's a whole plot and story behind that. But basically, my partner was at work the night before. She happened to work at the same place because small towns, there's nothing to do when she's the chef. And she had the seafood pasta for dinner. Again, you go oh, fuck, you're in the middle of the country and you're eating seafood. They got it in fresh weekly, and basically once it was getting past the fresh to serve date, not the use by, but I wouldn't pay for this at this point. They'd go, okay, cool, make staff meals. So she had one of the seafood pastas that they made up. She went, oh, fuck, I've got really bad stomach pains and, cramps, really lethargic, and, finished her shift. Next morning, I've got work, getting the other kids ready for school, and she gave birth to our child in the bathroom at home. And funnily enough, we didn't know she was pregnant on top of all that. So alarm bells ring. Call up the boss, great, Alicia's not coming into work. Again, we've just had a kid, I'm going to take a couple of days off, don't have time to put in, paternity leave, but yep, sweet, good luck.
Was she not showing?
No, so with the placenta, it was sitting on the front of her stomach, so that actually hid the baby. So she got a tiny little lump, but again, it was middle of COVID, so putting on what looked like maybe 5 kilos of weight, you're not going to turn around and point fingers at anyone, but, there was no indication or no signs. Everything was just normal, going to work like nothing, not complaining of extra fatigue or, sickness like with the previous kids. It's just, yep,
Wow.
cool, let's go with it. So she had a baby. I took about a week or so off work, got back into it, and we're going, all right, cool, we don't like the country, what are we going to do? Fast forward a few weeks or months, have a customer come in, and he's seated down in one of the VIP sections that wasn't even open. Cool, no worries. He knows the owner. Sweet, small town. Yep, he's important. Keep him away from general public. Yep, no worries. And I'm serving him. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. It's lunchtime. I'm sitting them down, and your great seat lap off of drinks. And immediately he says, "I don't drink." Perfect. Didn't bat an eye. I just said to him, "That's fine. We've got plenty of non-alcoholic options as well. And if you are feeling a bit quirky for the day, we do have some Dom Perignon or a few other big hitter red wines. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I said X, Y, Z. Otherwise, we've got soft drinks, mocktails, coffees, everything in between." I saw his eye light up a little bit. Just served him as usual. Come to the end of the lunch period, he's talking to the owner and asking questions, looking at me. Don't think much of it. He beckons me over, hands me his business card, and he goes, "Oh, yep, cool. I'm the owner of the Powerhouse in Tamworth. So that's the 5-star hotels." He's like, "I want you to be my beverage manager." Fuck, all right, sweet. Went over there, interviewed, was looking after their whole beverage department. So they had 70 or 80 odd whiskies in its display and shelf, 284 wines, and I think it was a 2-glass rating at the time. So it was pretty fun. At that point, I was doing some experimental stuff with cocktails. We were moving forward in developing new beverage trends, clarification, lactoferments, fat washing was really on the trend. At that point, it was still new and innovative with how social media was portraying bartending. So I played around with that, added some quirky things to the lists, and that was good. I did that for the remainder of the tenure in Tamworth. And again, what happened was I got poached by someone else. It's the nicest...
Everyone wants you.
Mate, they used to this when I had hair. All fell out quite quickly. Once that one finished up, we had all the high-end clients coming through Tamworth, staying at that hotel because it's the only 5-star hotel in the entire area, and it was miles ahead of everything else. I had my own separate bar to the restaurant area where, everyone goes down and eats, and all the drinks come from bar over to them. But I had my bar there. Had some clients in there, nothing unusual. High-end VIPs, company credit cards, does not matter. We had Hibiki 17 sitting on the shelf. It sat there for about 4 years, and I killed it in 6 months. We got Yamazaki in there. I can't even think of half the whiskies off the top of my head, but heaps of Lafroigs, Lagavulins.
Sounds like you stayed in the country for a while.
This is just 18 months.
Oh, so this is all in the 18 months,
yeah.
Right? So you worked at several different places within those.
So
18
three
months.
venues.
3 venues
Yeah.
within 18 months.
And as we were finishing up there, gentleman approached me and said, "Yep, cool. How do you like it here?" And jokingly said, "I'm from Sydney, was in Newcastle, we're out here at the moment, and I'm evaluating my options." And again, he passes me his business card as well as his lawyer that was sitting next to him. Hands me his and he goes, "Cool, we own a greyhound track all the greyhound tracks in Australia. I've got a position. How would you like to move to Newcastle?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool." And he's like, "Yeah, the one's down at the Gardens, which is just next to the university, basically. How would you like to do that?" And I said, "Oh, what do you want me to do?" And he was a bit vague, but he went, "Yeah, cool. I basically want you to become my general manager for the entire track." Cool. I don't know anything about greyhounds, the race, like that aspect of the racing industry. He said, "No, don't worry. We've got all the staffing in that, but we need the infrastructure and the food and beverage in place." Cool. Went down for an interview and had everything arranged in line. Went for the interview, was basically offered stupid money. Like, cannot turn it down money on the spot. And I went, oh, okay, cool. I'm going to have to, put my 2 weeks notice in. And the solicitor looks at me and he smiles and he goes, if you call your boss right now, I'll tell him to get fucked and that you're not coming in and you start tomorrow. He goes, I'll give you 25 grand cash right now to start. So I sat there and I thought about it. I called my partner and full panic mode going, oh my God, what should I do? And she's like, yeah, do it. Fuck it. Why not? It's our escape route. Called up the boss and I said, yeah, mate, things have changed. I'm not coming back. So that bridge immediately got burnt. That stipend got deposited into my account literally the next day. So that covered moving fees. Then we're over there. First day that I started, I found out that the racetrack was going through administration that day. The administrators had turned up, sacked the entire department except for one person.
What exactly does that mean?
Basically, their finances weren't in line. That's why they were looking for someone to take the structure of everything. And then administrators come in, they hold control of every single asset in finance, reevaluate where all the money's coming in and out of the business, and then they have full control over everything. Then once everything gets... processes and systems are put in place, correct suppliers and agreements and trade contracts are made, they reappoint a team and then continue operations. If they can't succeed with that, they shut the venue basically. So... did
that affect your role significantly?
It amplified it significantly. I assumed that I'd have someone to reference anything, more or less. Basically, I was... given keys, access to everything, and they went, cool, this is your login, good luck. And I went, what the fuck?
So you got like no one to report, because the people who you would have
reported to got sacked, yeah. So I spoke directly to the administrators, and it was the owner of the administration company and about 6 of his team that were in there. The one person that wasn't terminated did the sole operations of the legislation behind the greyhounds and making sure everything's adhering to what they have to do and making sure for the safety of the animals and compliance with the racetrack. And
yeah, I imagine the compliance would be through the roof for something like that.
Yeah, and then I had to look after the facilities as a whole. Massive racetrack for what it was, heaps of unutilized space. We've got dodgy rental ledgers in place already from the old board director's brother that was leasing there without an agreement, and it was all up in the air. And I went, what the fuck? And I went, okay, cool, what's our suppliers, what's our costs? And they looked and went, what are you talking about? I'm like, how the fuck do you get your stock? Don't know, that's your job to figure out. Cool, what's your costings? What's anything? Nothing. We don't have anything. So it was 6 months of hair falling out and long days, and I did that. At that point, they came out of administration. They went, yep, great. We're appointing a new team. And they looked at how they could cut costs. And they went, okay, cool, we're going to cut the big costs first. Next day, the administrators came over. Thank you very much for your time. We will see you later. And I went, okay, great. We're done.
How long was the stint from when they got you in to when they got you out?
6 to 8 months. For that, and it was just getting everything in line, appointing new managers, staffing, getting policies, procedures, cleaning in place, setting up new rental agreements.
Did you smell it coming?
You get an indication, but while everything's up in the air, you kind of...
You probably got so much else on your plate at that point that you're not really sniffing it out in the first place.
Exactly. There was indication in a way, but at the same token, who else is going to do the job? So you were just going along with everything, and that was fine. That's no problems. But out of nowhere, just bang, yep, cool, we are no longer in administration, we're stepping back. We'll still assist with this. We no longer need X, Y, Z, thank you. These guys have now been promoted to this is new contracts. Great, now saving ourselves 140 grand across the board. Sweet. And that got all of that sorted out. From there, where did I go? I ended up coming across an advertisement for a cafe and bar in Beresfield
That's a lot of coffee, sorry, real quick.
Yep, no, that's entirely fine.
Cafe and bar.
Cafe and bar in Beresfield. So it was
Where's Beresfield?
the industrial area of the side of Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
So it's a very focused area in, what was it? Primarily trades. And you've got other little shops. Molten Hops Brewery was just down the road. Quite a lot of traffic through there, but the reason that they had the cafe there is because the owner also had multiple tiling shops, and he'd sell the tiling and home decor and everything else, and he'd just opened up, well, 2 years prior, he'd just opened up his venue in Newcastle to expand his range between him and his brother. And one of his little pet dreams forever was to have a bar. It's just one of those things, when you're in tiling, you need to have a bar. Funnily enough, there's another company, oh my God, what is it? There's another one in Newcastle, it's a tile company as well, that does alcohol. I can't even remember off the top of my head.
So random.
Yeah, so that's what they had basically. And they would started off down really shit. Everything costing was fucked. And he was running a loss of about 15 grand a month. Perfect. But again, he's got other revenue streams in, and he's going, yep, cool, I can wear the loss for now, but we need to improve. So I became the ops manager for there, which was an interesting feat. I'd worked with coffee for a handful of years, but not to the extent of pumping out barista work. But, I had the management in place and processes and systems. So from there, got the training, the operations, staffing in line for the day trade, and they already traded Thursday to Saturday evenings with the same menu that they opened with. It was cost friendly, and this is when hyperinflation was going on, and you were paying like $17 for a head of lettuce. Like, it was fucking stupid. So I was there, and what did we do? It was a ground up rebuild, basically. So it was niche marketing that I targeted because the demographics, unique in itself, had to be very mindful in costing because every supplier was charging you for fuel. At that point, the levies and excesses that they were chucking on top. You'd spend, $5 a kilo on tomatoes one week, and the next week they were $22 a kilo. It was just so volatile at that point. That was also a really fun point where no one wanted to work because everyone was on Centrelink. So that was a shit show, but we put a lot of innovation into that and menu development and planning and processing. Well, planning and putting processes in. We started doing live nights where we'd have acoustics and solo performers on. I hosted a drag night as well over there, so the town loved it. There was only one other spot, I think, in Newcastle itself that did it. We were also close enough to Maitland that attracted that crowd. We did Pinot and Picasso nights, just really innovated and made it a community space in a way. Was there again for about a year, and that's when my spouse returned to work after having our youngest. We did that for about a year and a half in total, and we talked about our careers and what we're doing next with that. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just yapping at this point. So what we decided was, okay, are we going to stick to Newcastle and, we've basically hit the threshold of what we can do? Or do we want to go to the land of opportunity for Australia and hit up Sydney again, back to my home ground? We both put feelers out on Sydney Bartender Exchange as well as Chef Exchange and Seek. And it was, again, a very interesting and different dynamic to what it is now. I put a post out and I think I had about 700 comments on it. And it was just venue after venue after venue contacting me. Everything all right there?
Yeah, the dude wanted to come in and water the plant.
Yeah, perfect. Cool.
I was like, nah, right now.
Sorry, give me 2 secs. Oh, what do you do? Yeah, so had about 700 odd people comment, and it was just business after business after business going, yep, cool, we need this, we need a GM, we need an ops manager, group beverage manager. That was good. My spouse put her feelers out, and it was a very similar conversation in looking for Sue's Sue's head chefs. And we came down across 2 weekends, and I think we pumped out about 30 or 40 interviews between the 2 of us while we carted the kids down. So it was, I don't know how we managed to orchestrate this. I drove down, kids are in the car with my spouse, go over to one interview location. Great, one of us does the interview, bang, finish that, drive over to the next spot immediately after, and we timed it for about 45-minute interviews plus travel time. We managed to do that and just pumped out one after another interview. What happened at that point was my spouse got a job at Bartolo prior to them closing. So she was their sous chef there. And I started at Tripper's White Group. So have you heard of them or not really?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
I worked just down the road from Bartoli. I was at the winery for like 4 years.
Okay, beautiful.
And then Tripper's White. I know them as a.
They're a powerhouse.
I know them as a group, but I couldn't tell you like individual venues that they own.
Yeah. So Taronga Zoo, they own the functions department across the board. Infinity, Sky Feast, Bar 83, Rain Champagne Parlour, Esk, Sydney Opera House, all the restaurants in there, they own a handful of them. I think it's like 190 premium venues across the board. So I started up at Trippers, and
What role were you in there?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So it was a new position that just opened. So they had Rain Champagne Parlour in the QVB. On the opposite side of the QVB, they were reopening Esk. It was previously Esquire, and what they were looking for was a precinct bar manager. And that's the role I took on. So for the Champagne Parlour as well as Esk, I was tidying everything up as a whole because Esk was just all over the shop in that, yes, they're opening and they've got the group SOMs and the beverage manager. So they're implementing XYZ stock. We've got this existing list that we're putting forward. Great, here's the staff that are semi-trained. And then there's Rain, that is one of the key venues in Trippers. It's one of the originals. It was the first champagne parlour, to my knowledge, in Sydney. And it's one of the most premium venues, obviously stocking stupid stuff that you couldn't even imagine pronouncing. We were there, and from the get-go, it was just insane. It was coming into summer, and it was meeting the team, meeting the process, understanding the processes across each, as well as lists, the staff, the training, the rosters. That was fun. I got through the year. And what I found was big groups not my vibe. To get anything done, I had to go through about 5 or 6 different people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That would delay a lot of things, and, inevitably, who cops the blame when something's not executed in time or correctly? Obviously, the person that was allocated X role. So there was a bit of conflict and butting heads backwards and forwards there. After probably about 6 months, again, I'm just jumping ship everywhere at this point. I'm just going one to another, but, a lot of things that get established and then move on. It was about 6 months at Trippers before I went, nah, fuck this, I can't do it, it's too hard. I then came across a celebrity shift at a private function venue in Oxford Street, and it was Australia Day 4 years ago. Did a shift there, nothing happened. It was a ticketed event, not a single person bought a ticket. I rocked up, the bar was fucked, and I just cleaned it. I just hung out, cleaned it, no worries. And the owner was like, yep, cool, paid me. I said, yep, cool, if you need me for any other gigs, let me know. No, I'll be fine. The manager was quite impressed in that I didn't just stand there and vape behind the bar or, play on my phone the entire night. I actually gave half a shit about the venue. So he said to the owner, yep, cool, this bloke's all right, let's get him back in. Awesome, sweet. So I started getting regular shifts there when we'd open. We only opened for private events, so it's not open to the public. It's very sporadic work, but it's primarily Friday, Saturday nights for the most part. Was there for probably about 3 months before the manager, his visa finished up. So at that point, the owners asked me to take the reins. I've been there for 4 years at this point. So yeah, on the 26th of last month, I just hit my 4-year mark. And what I've been dealing with there is a lot of compliance, training and development, a bit of supplier relations. We're quite limited in what we do in terms of expansion. We just keep it nice and simple. It's a no frills kind of happy medium for people. It's a lot of client relations and meeting their expectations, and compliance is another big thing. One of the only venues that does 18th, Bucks Nights, 21st, and it's openly advertised in a way that, yes, we accept them. So the juggle I've been doing for the last 4 years with that is we need to make sure that expectations are met in a way, but also for our side as well as the clients. Sometimes we get clients in and their expectation is, I've booked this venue, it's mine for the night, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. Anyone that holds a RSA or a liquor license knows that's not how it works. So it's a bit of a tricky reality check for some people, and it's been a balancing act. But overall, you've done a shift with us over there as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
So we just...
What's it called? Oxford House?
The Ox Darlinghurst.
The Ox Darlinghurst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a quirky little venue. It is what it is. In its own aspect. Obviously, it could have X improvement here and there, but for what the owner wants to do with it, we're just operating it, keeping it compliant, keeping it consistent, and just meeting expectations. It was last March. Yeah, so March 25. Was doom scrolling on Facebook Marketplace and everywhere else, and I saw an interesting opportunity where someone was selling glow bars. And the whole business, the whole client, the ABN behind that, business name registration, all inventory, clients list, and looked at it, and I had a bit of, money in the kitty, and I went, all right, fuck it. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'd done a few little events periodically, just random private events or for other mobile bar companies, and I figured, fuck it, it can't be that hard.
Did you find out why they were selling?
Yeah, so the previous owner wanted to just pump out events, whatever you can do to, again, build your brand, do it cheap, get more returning clientele, post on your social media and grow that way. And what they found was as competition started increasing and the demand did, it just wasn't cutting it. She basically said over the course of a year, I think revenue was about 30 odd grand. And as a little side thing, it's not too bad, but it was a lot of effort for what it was worth. She just lost motivation, and she was also studying externally, and it wasn't hospitality she was studying. So she was looking at moving out of that more or less. So instead of just having the bars and everything sitting there, she decided to sell that off. So I purchased that, and it was stagnant for about a month and a half. I came across a sporadic post on one of my networks.
Stagnant as in you couldn't find anyone to...
I couldn't find any work to begin with, so it was about a month or two of just nothing. So I've just invested all this money and...
No one wants to have a glow party.
No. And it's just the bar's just sitting there fucking taking up space. I'm going, oh, fuck. The missus is in my ear about it. And she's going, yep, cool, what's game plan? And I came across this stray post at 11 o'clock at night for the following day. My caterers have just cancelled. My bartenders have just cancelled. Housewarming party tomorrow. Avalon. And I went, awesome. Inquired, the client and I went backwards and forwards for a while, shot myself a bit in the foot with pricing, but again, any money is good money at this point. And they didn't need bars, they just needed staff. To my knowledge, they'd set up catering team and service staff for the entirety of his housewarming, and they somehow missed him in their scheduling, and they had to cancel just before the event. So he wanted decent food made up and served. Again, trying to source a caterer to do that the night before with no notice and get suppliers in line.
Didn't sleep that night.
Wasn't going to work. As I mentioned, my partner's a chef. So I lined the event up and explained to him, we can't do that. If you can supply food, we can prep it, cook it, and get it going. But be realistic in your expectation with this, because this is so last minute. How are we going to get supplies, sufficient stock, even prep work? You need to get your prep started the day before. We're not just turning up to your house and bang, we're doing it. But we'll give it a red hot crack. Spoke to my partner, and I'm the king of cons somehow. Managed to scam her into wanting to come down. We did that, and the client called me the following morning because, again, who's going to call you at 11 o'clock at night planning everything? He needed 4 bar staff and 1 person cooking, and then the 2 of the bar staff would rotate out and help serve the food, basically, and just keep the function rolling. The client's name was Jamie, and he gives me a call. It was a little bit nondescript, but gave away enough information. He said to me, oh, hey, yep, cool, I've just finished building my house in Avalon. We're just doing a little house party for it. Yep, cool, you may have seen it on TV. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? He's like, oh, it was televised. Okay, yeah, well, what's this? He's like, oh, I build houses. And yeah, a lot of it's on TV. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, what was your name? He's like, Jamie. Yep, cool, no worries. Yep, sweet, we're expecting about 70 people. We just need this, don't worry about your bars, just bring your staff. I've got X, Y, Z sorted out. Perfect, great. I've got all the staff organised, X, Y, Z. We're going to be there on time. I've also got a chef coming in. I've managed to sort that out for you. Get off the phone. I mentioned it to my partner. I'm like, we've got a bloke named Jamie in Avalon who's just televised his house build. And we're doing his housewarming. She's like, as your first gig? I'm like, yeah, it's my first gig, as you just do. And it's less than 12 hours notice and we're getting this done. Yeah. Look it up, and it was fucking Jamie Dury. So immediately we went, oh, fuck, what are the expectations on this? But it was okay. Jamie said he had glassware, heaps of it, and heaps of stock and everything else. He was still moving into the house and hadn't fully unpacked everything. He couldn't find most of his glassware. So that was a nightmare. Also, with the alcohol that he had brought from his previous property, he could only find about half of it. So it was just a nightmare from the get-go. But we managed to pull through somehow. It's just come through, made it work, quite happy with it. And, you know, he was over the moon. Funnily enough, I've got his number at this point, and we touch base periodically and line up any other events. But number one, first ever event was just balls to the wall, fucking do it. And I went, okay, cool, there's some kind of market there. Let's keep going. The company I purchased, it was called Let It Glow Parties. And I immediately figured out that Let It Glow Parties doesn't really work for corporate weddings or high-end clients. Yeah. It's more a backyard house party, fun little engagements, or quirky occasions kind of company for your big hitters or corporate professionals. Generally, when they get an invoice, they're not wanting it to be from Let It Glow Parties. That's when I've set up a new ABN and company name. So it's Sydney Mobile Hospitality Group at this point. Again, it's concise and to the point. You know exactly what we do. It doesn't have to be over the top or really posh, but it's clear and concise in what we do. I've now found that works quite well in that we are able to target all different markets. Let It Glow Parties still exists, it's just a subsidiary, so when it comes to house parties and things like that, and our social media presence with the Glow Bars, it's still fine, but I'm able to target catering, corporate and high-end clients. Even in recent weeks, it was literally last weekend, I bought another company. It still hospitality, came with all the kit, similar to Let It Glow Parties, all the social media.
Another mobile bartending business?
Yes, but it's a little bit different in that it's a keg wall. So it's one of the backdrop cutesy little displays, And then it's got the beer taps on the front that runs through to separate kegerator systems. I've got CO2 beer gas as well as nitrogen.
Oh, that's pretty much portable taps.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So we're targeting for a lot of engagements and weddings at this point, but I can really push that back and target different smaller groups.
That's really interesting. Is anyone, I know that I've seen the
Combi keg vans.
Combi, yeah, so they do it on the vans.
Yeah.
But is anyone else doing
I think
the walls?
I think there's one other person in competition with me at this point.
Yeah, wow.
I've only come across one post, but yeah, it's exciting. It's literally last week that I've picked it up, and then it's been raining for the last 2 days, so I haven't actually been able to set anything up and run the systems through.
Wow. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see, like, I don't know, like obviously there's got to be some limitations of like where you can bring it, but
yeah, it's interesting as well, and I'm in contact at the moment with the Office of Liquor, Gaming and Racing, because as you know, to supply alcohol to a client, you need a liquor license. So with the other two companies, it is exclusively dry hire. With this one, a lot of people have the expectation that there's alcohol in the kegs.
Dry hire as in you're always using their booze.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so if you never bring your own booze, then you don't need a
liquor license. Correct. Yes, it's not exactly a loophole. It's just the phrasing and how it works. So it's dry hire. So we provide the service, they provide the product. The issue with having the kegs though is obviously they would expect alcohol. So there's a few ways that I'm looking at working around it. So say they wanted a CC and dry keg or a hard solo keg or mocktail kegs. That's fine, I can make it, but with the alcohol, I can't actually supply that. So I could pre-make the keg without the alcohol, and then once I get to the client's house, add the alcohol in, get everything chilled down, and then run it through the systems.
So like corny kegs, like cocktail kegs.
Yeah. The issue I'm running into is I am requesting information from licensing, but it's really vague in what the laws actually specify. If I go through a third party and I'm not making profit, is that legal or not? Because am I supplying the alcohol at that point, or is the supplier that has the liquor license supplying the alcohol? And that's a bit of a grey area that we're navigating through at the moment, because ideally if I can have decent trade agreements with the keg suppliers and the breweries, they can give me appropriate pricing for that. I can offset that same charge to the client, keeps everyone happy, and then I can personally deliver the kegs, hook them up, and run the events. But we're not sure exactly how that's going to work. And the last thing I want is to be halfway through a party, cops come through for whatever reason. Where'd this keg come from? Him. 50 grand fine, thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, it's just a bit of a juggling act at the moment, as well as getting the marketing done for that. But yeah, that's a bit of a rundown of me as a whole, and just the diversity of my roles. So
fucking very diverse.
Yeah, I've been here, there, and everywhere. Quite a few stints during the COVID era. They were a bit more sporadic, but yeah, in recent years it's been much longer tenure and just finding stability and ground. More or less, yeah.
I'm curious, with the greyhound racing track, so the dogs live at the track, or do like people bring their pets in to just race them?
So when it comes to the compliance with that, the greyhound track is just providing the track with that and the facilities. The individuals bringing their dogs, their own pets, race dogs, whatever definition they may be, but all of the animals come from somewhere external, and the owners and trainers bring them in, get them on the track, and then they race to win, similar to your horse racing. Yeah. It's a bit
controversial. It's definitely a bit of it's a bit of a controversial topic, but it's interesting.
It's interesting, yeah. While I was there, I'm not going to say much. It's again too controversial. It was very conflicting working there. You see the owners and the staff, and everyone's doing their best and trying to be supportive, and injuries happen. Whether the dog's just running and it pops its hip out or it trips over or anything worse happens, it's really disappointing, and it gets a lot of negative feedback as well as some positive. A lot of the owners were saying, the dogs, if they weren't running, it's instinctual for them. They run, they chase. It's what they're instinctively bred to do. Without the tracks, the jumping over the fence and chasing, the rabbits down the paddocks and things like that, versus this is an outlet for the dog to do what it's doing. And then on the other side, there's the entire conversation of its morals behind that and the safety of everything. So yeah, it's an interesting one, more or less.
Thanks so much for sharing. That's awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I've just babbled for a good 40 odd minutes.
No, it gives me a good idea.
Yeah.
It gives me a good idea where you've come from.
So yeah, a lot of what I've done is cocktail development and beverage construction. There's a lot of not preliminary, small roles have taken in recent years as well. I forgot to mention earlier. There was a venue in Melbourne that is doing I think it was $40 or $50 million fit out, 3 levels on Spring Street in Melbourne. Massive overtaking, and their home base is in Sydney, where they've got a few different venues and outlets, and they were looking for someone to innovate the space that they've got there, put in SOPs and lists, training plans, even floor plans for their, restaurant and bar areas. And yeah, I put my hand up for that one. This was 2.5 years ago. It was 3 phases. So it was beverage lists, suppliers, and then floor plans. I'd got the first stage done. Second stage would be to physically inspect the venue once renovations progress on and help with the scheming and planning. And then third step would actually be execution, training and development, and then run through the first few weeks actually of service just to get the team in place. We did the first stage, and then we were cruising along with that. Had about 6 to 8 weeks of buffer time as they were moving into the second stage, and then they ran into a bit of a legal dispute with the actual property owner. I don't know if it was, a conflict in its listing or heritage or DA approval. But yeah, that's come to a screaming halt, and nothing has happened with that one for the last 2 years. It's just been a legal dispute with the owner of the company versus the owner of the building, and they're trying to still navigate that before anything else happens, but that one's just been sitting on the back burner for quite a while.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, that was, I think, 30 signature cocktails, as well as I think 15 to 20 classics. And again, utilising Australian fresh botanicals, Australian suppliers as a whole, so pretty much all the spirits, except for obviously, like your classic rums and your scotches. Anything that could be made in Australia, they wanted from Australia, seasonal menus and everything like that. So that's an interesting one that's still in the background in the works, but yeah, that's going to be an interesting one when that's finally done.
What do you think makes a good bartender for mobile bartending? What makes it good be different from that than say venue bartending?
Adaptability. So when you're at a stationary venue or bar, it's very much great. We've got X stock on premise, we've got the cool room, we've got the kegs, we've got this is where everything's home is. Yep, Johnny can run down and, talk to our neighbours down the road and steal a bottle of, raspberry cordial if we need to, or steal a keg if we run out. It's no worries. When it comes to mobile bars, a lot of the time you can be as thorough as you can with the client, and they still fuck it up somehow. They forget something, or one of your staff is ill-prepared, or something goes wrong. It's never a perfect, flawless event because there's always some kind of logistical issue. It's being able to have the ability to just ride the waves and adapt. So whether it's a stocking issue or a miscommunication, make it work. Don't make it be a stressful thing. Don't carry on like, oh my God, Cindy fucked this up, or who closed. You're here, you're in the moment. This is what you've got. Meet the client's expectations as best you can and have fun with it. A lot of what the...
It's almost like a little bit of a management mentality.
Exactly.
Like problem solving.
Exactly. So with the staff that I've got, everyone's pretty well seasoned in hospitality. For the level of events I'm doing, unless I need a multitude of staff, I can't just have greenies in. I can't have someone that you're going, oh great, this is how you do this. The client's spending a significant amount of money and they've got an expectation. They don't want to watch you train someone on shift. They want, hey great, this is the timings, this is the execution we need. And you just need to be able to go, okay great, this is how we're going to run this. Everyone's got minimum 5 years experience. I've got a few staff that are 15 to 20 years in the industry experience. Yeah.
Mate, you found some pieces of gold.
Yeah, exactly. So thankfully I've got a handful of staff that can represent me and the company itself when I can't actually physically be there. We've had multiple times where there's been 3, 4, 5 events at the same time across Sydney. So, you know, it's impossible to be the face and be physically there. So having that really strong network of staff is imperative, more or less. Another issue with that is generally with pop-up work, you get no-shows. So being able to have sustainability and loyalty from your staff is one of the foundational necessities that you have to have with the business. So I've found the best way to do that is make sure my timings are always correct. I need to make sure my organisation is on point when it comes to all of this. I need to make sure the staff aren't stressing, because when they get to the premise, there's going to be a fuck up somehow, whether it's my fault, their fault, or the client's. Something goes wrong and they need to be composed and they don't need to worry about all the extra bullshit going on. So I make sure every process is in place that can be, and then I'm prompt and efficient in remuneration for the staff. I make sure payroll is done to the minute. I'm, no 3-day delays, no ghosting them. If they've got a question or a concern, I'm always there and I'm always responsive. Even if they're on shift and they go, oh my God, what is going on? I need to contact Alex. I respond. It doesn't matter what I'm doing at another event or whatnot. I make sure that I've got the flexibility to be able to answer them. It's just transparency as well. I outline what my expectations are from them, and it's not unreasonable or excessive, but it's just clear and concise. There's no confusion in what is expected of them. Yeah. And yeah, I do my best to look after them and show my appreciation at the same time, because a lot of management either do too much or too little when it comes to praise and recognition for staff. You get the over the tops that, oh my God, you've done amazing, go team, here's the A team.
High fiver.
Yeah, exactly.
High fives to everyone.
Yeah, it makes me want to fucking vomit. And then you've got the bloke that ignores everything and then only reprimands them if there's an issue. So it's that really nice kind of balance between just recognising the little things and identifying the hardships as well. Because, just personally, when something goes wrong and you beat yourself up about it, it's reassuring your staff that everything's actually okay. It's not the end of the world, and then identifying what's gone right as well. It's just a fun little juggle, and yeah.
Have you got any nights that stand out that went particularly south? You don't have to name any names, but
are we talking about the function venue or for?
Oh, just in general in your entire
career.
Yeah.
A lot. So with mobile bars, again, it was rectified relatively quickly, but I had 4 staff for an event. I always liaise with the staff prior to the event and make sure, great, is everyone still on time? There's no issues. Your dog hasn't died overnight. You don't have pneumonia, or, whatever it is, yep, everyone's fine, and 2 of them no-showed. Thankfully, I had 2 staff already there. I scrambled to get extra staff and had to pull some favours, but they came in, I think it was half an hour late, got the boys to stay back a little bit as well, so the client didn't feel like they missed out. And then I just weighed the loss on labour as well. So I went, yep, cool, you guys are getting paid extra to be here and do that. Don't worry about paying me extra for the time that you've spent, but yep, did that one. I've had communication breakdowns. Some of the venues I've worked at, such as clubs and RSLs, they've got strict sign-in policies and procedures. And I used to be a bit of a tyrant when I was younger, making sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed. If something didn't line up, I didn't really have leniency, so I butted heads with quite a few people, figuratively and literally. I remember getting head-butted at 3 o'clock in the morning once. As a wee little 20-year-old, that was traumatising. And in recent years, I've had quite a few fun ones. As I've mentioned previously, where some people have the expectation that I've booked your venue, this is my venue. We've had interesting ones where it gets a little bit loose and it's a bit hard to pull everyone back. But probably the biggest one that would have stood out was we had an 18th birthday party. There's a few 18th birthday parties, funnily enough, that I can actually mention. But received about 3 or 4 fake IDs, nothing extraordinary. It's pretty standard with an 18th, who's going to definitely be the youngest, particularly with current technology and how easy it is to get a fakie. Got a few of them, and then birthday boy turns up, covered in tattoos. And him and his dad had just stopped off at the pub beforehand. Cool, do we let him in? Do we not let him in? You've admitted that you've drunk before you can come in. Licensing doesn't allow you to. Weighing that up, all right, cool, monitor you for now.
Is that because it's a club license? What license is that place under?
It's an on-premise restaurant and private function. So it's three-way. It's a really unique one.
Yeah.
But any licensed venue, if you know someone's been drinking prior, you are meant to refuse them. Wow, and it's as simple as, oh, hey, I literally just stopped off at the pub, had a beer, and now I'm stepping in here. Technically, you should say no because, in theory, you don't know how much they've drunk. You can't monitor and control that. So if you want to get really finicky with it, yeah. So we assessed it. We went, all right, cool. Birthday boy's here. It's a private event. We'll monitor and see how we go. Get handed his ID. I look at it and I'm like, I'm like 21 and a half, eh? I'm like, this is your 18th birthday, isn't it? Yeah. I'm like, cool. Like, who the fuck's ID is this? Oh shit, that's my uncle's. Or my cousin's. Awesome. Can I get your actual ID? He's like, oh yeah, man, no worries. Whatever. Cool. What you did beforehand is not my problem. Pulls his ID out, hands it to me. Have a look. And I think it was 17th of March. I went, oh yeah, cool. Today's the 16th of March. He was 17, having his 18th birthday party. Spoke to the parents and I said, whoa, we've got a minor hosting an 18th birthday here. Yeah, but he turns 18 at midnight. I'm like, but it's not his birthday right now. It's under false pretense, technically. I'm like, what would have to happen if I allow him in is a driver. So no service of alcohol until midnight at least. Oh, no, we can't do that. He just won't drink. Bit of back and forth with security, who thankfully he's the director of the security company, so he's quite well versed in the compliance as well, not just your standard, I'm a security guard, I know what's going on, but he actually knows a lot of what's going on in high risk precincts. And touch base with the owner as well. There was a lot of reluctance, but I just shut the venue down at 8 o'clock at night. Yeah. Got to the point where they didn't want to leave, had to call the police, had riot squad turn up, about 40 cops. It wasn't that it turned violent, it's just, it became hostile very quickly and a lot of confusion. So called the local cop shop and I said, yep, cool, I think we need to shut this down. I need help with a move on. Explain the situation. And they went, yep, cool. I'm like, I don't want lights, I don't want sirens, I just want police presence just to help get everyone out. And then if there's any aggression, that it can just be diffused nicely. So that was another fun one.
Fucking nut jobs.
Yeah, that was the most interesting, but the worst one I had was another 18th birthday. And I always speak with the parents. Is everyone definitely over 18? Yeah, of course. Great, because, we understand that fake IDs come through in circulation.
Parents have no idea. They can say yes, but they've got no fucking clue.
Yeah. We're expecting 120. 120 turned up. I refused 76 of them for fake IDs. Yeah, so it became a game with the security guards and I. So they'd line up and you'd look at the ID, look at them, have a good night, mate, off you go. Other ones would try and give the benefit of the doubt if it looked a little bit close or just if it was just too comedic at that point. So on everyone's ID, you've got your signature written on there. So you'd ask questions, great, what's your date of birth? And it's a robotic, 13th of June, 1994, or whatever it is. Great, what's your address? Yep, spitballing that to me. You ask them, what's your star sign? And that fucks them up every time. Another good one is the signature. So, yep, cool, this is your ID. Yep, so this is your signature. Yep, cool. I'm going to give you a pen and paper, and I want you to do your signature. Oh, yeah, I'll just grab that. No, you won't. If you know your signature, do it, and then I'll compare it. I've not once had a single person pass the signature test.
Yeah, because nobody ever tries to memorize that.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
I'm even like trying to picture my ID in my head, and I'm like, does my ID even have a signature on it? I don't ever remember seeing a signature on my ID.
It's just a mandatory thing. It's as you get your license and you're signing the documents, they give you that separate piece of paper and you give it a quick scribble and they just chuck it on there.
That's a good one.
Yeah. The other great ones as well are they give you the dodgy Service New South Wales app or they log into their sister's account. Great, I'm looking at Grace's. Cool, open up your settings, bang, Lucy. Grace, Lucy, because on your iPhone it links it to your iCloud address versus if you just log into someone's Service New South Wales, it doesn't match. The final really good license that we had was this bloke. He was adamant and his ID was quite good, but we could tell it was fake. We're going through everything and he couldn't fully prove it. He didn't have a bank card that fully lined up. His Instagram was vague. His Facebook wasn't logged in on his phone. Logged onto his email. Looked okay. And then we found his school email. And it was surname.firstname or whatever it was and it just didn't line up. But he argued the point with us for 20 odd minutes before we went bang, bang, that one, no. It was about 6 months later, he came back to the venue for another birthday and he's like, here's my real ID now, thank you. Because he was coming for another friend's birthday. But yeah, that was one of the interesting ones. And yeah, oddly enough, my hospitality career has been one of those unique little journeys in that I haven't worked at the same venue and worked my way up the ranks. And
so out of everywhere, what's the longest you've stayed? I guess the Oxford Street one. Is that your longest stint?
It's coming on to probably the longest would be my first, which was probably about 4.5, just shy of 5 years. Most of the other spots were 6 months to a year-ish. A lot of shorter gigs because, again, it's
just the nature of the industry as well,
exactly,
to be honest.
Yeah, so finishing the administration or my spouse returning to work and both of us saying, great, let's do this, and then navigating and moving through. Plus the current trend with a lot of people nowadays is job hop and get that pay rise, don't wait for it.
Yeah.
And that's, that big trend that's been on the rise over the last almost 10 years. But what I've found in recent years is for the workload I'm doing, I find comfort in those jobs. A lot of other venues, you stuff something up or piss off the boss and you turn up the next day and you're going, oh, fuck, I really don't want to see Craig. I just don't want to deal with him. The nature of the work that I'm doing is every single night's different. And at the end of the day, I'm put in a position to make decisions on behalf of the owner for the club. So when we have a dispute, the argument is then and there on that night, and then the following day I'll speak with them and go, great, this is why I've done this, and that's the end of, you're paying me to do this, and we just move on. There's no, oh my God, remember how you did that or did this? It's great. This is the next event. This is what we're doing moving forward. So it's refreshing in that every single event's different. There's different challenges, and the previous night shift or the previous week doesn't dwell on you. You just move on, just carry on with it. So it's been a nice change, definitely.
Yeah.
And then obviously working for myself is lovely. So it got its own challenges in itself, but I choose my own hours when they come up, and I can diversify and spread how I actually accrue that revenue coming in.
Yeah. It's a different type of pressure, but it's also like a different type of freedom.
Exactly, yes. The good thing is it's not a physical venue, so it's not ongoing rent per se and overheads. The main...
Yeah, what is the main overhead?
Labour.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously cost of goods, which is the initial purchase of glassware or the bars themselves or any extra itinerary that I need. That's the biggest one. Rent and storage is not overly expensive in that I've just done it effectively. I've got some space where I reside as well as my warehouses that I've found quite good deals on. So yeah, slowly but surely I'll step up until I get a full warehouse space with a commercial kitchen, and then I'm going for the catering license. So then I can actually supply the alcohol.
Yeah,
So
that'll be a huge one.
Yeah, that will be astronomical in the development of the business, but at the moment it's just little baby steps and just building the brand, the reputation, and just revenue streams coming in.
How difficult is it going to be to get that license?
I've spoken with a few people that have catering licenses, and it's a minimum 6 months of waiting. So to get the catering license, at minimum, it has to be a place with a commercial kitchen. So it's 6 months of rent that I'm going to have to be paying while I'm doing applications to get the license, because you just have to go backwards and forwards with council. So the nature of the business itself is interesting in that it's not consistent revenue, it's sporadic. So I have to build up, again, that revenue stream and consistency and just have the money sitting there that I can just afford to burn it, essentially, while I do that application. And then it will be 6 to 8, 10 months of just back and forth with council, making sure that's good and making sure the neighbours are happy with it. The nature of getting the catering license would be great. I'm looking at applying for this. I need to contact everyone within 100 metres of the premise. And I have to notify them that I'm looking at getting a liquor license. So it's going to be the sale of alcohol. And that gets misconstrued in that people will assume, oh great, there's going to have fucking people coming in. It's going to be like a pub. And then you have to explain, no, this is the nature of the business. It's going to be a storing ground for the inventory. The events will happen. Everything will get loaded in, go out. The events are external, and then we'll come in. It's more or less just a hub there.
I guess you can't use a storage unit.
No, that's what I was hoping to do. It has to have the commercial kitchen. So to get a commercial kitchen is not that hard. It just has to have, I need to look exactly into it, but basically stainless steel bench and some kind of refrigeration and adequate storage for that. Ventilation as well, I'm pretty sure.
What about plumbing?
Yeah, it needs something in there, but again, with most warehouses, yeah, it just depends on its phrasing and what's allowed. Also, the main premise of your business must be food, so that's where it comes in tricky. What some places can do, depending on the catering license, is you can store fucking wedges in your freezer and go, great, this is what we do, but we also primarily outsource it through XYZ company, and this is what they do.
Yeah.
Because the government wants to reduce liquor-related injuries. It's very difficult in having a solely alcohol-fueled company. It has to be an add-on to another service. So it's just, restructuring that and making sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed and everyone's happy.
Yeah. Sounds like it involves a little bit of outside of the box thinking as well.
And making sure that your local licensing's happy with it, because if you've got an arsehole as head of licensing, they can just say no on certain things. So it's just mitigating any risk.
Wow.
The other fun part is being the venue manager of the the Surrey Hills precinct venue. If I get a warehouse in that precinct, then I'm going to be dealing with the same licensing I already deal with. So it's a matter of making sure that I'm not pissing them off on one end and then shooting myself in the foot on the other. It's a matter of keep them happy if that's where I'm going to go. But yeah, there's a land of opportunity, more or less. It's just putting the processes in place to get it going.
Wow.
So yeah. And now the kids are all in school, so I can actually get like a more 9-to-5 job in the meantime while doing all this. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
How's your sleep? Do you get a lot of sleep?
No, that's the thing, and you adjust to it. So 4 or 5 hours, pretty good.
Yeah. Fuck, that's insanity.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, yeah, I've pumped out 22-hour days, like across weekends, because I've lined up multiple gigs and then work in the evening and then getting up with the kids. You get used to it. But it's not 7 consecutive days. It's usually just a short burst of 3 or 4, and then you get that rest period. So, yeah.
Cocktails. Is there any... What do you reckon your most sold cocktail is that's made it onto a menu? It's usually, in my experience, it's usually like not the one that you think it's. Yeah. Like you might like over-engineer this cocktail and you're like, oh, this is going to fucking...
Oh, okay, so we're talking about signatures instead of
classics. Yeah, signature cocktail that you've come up with that has outperformed the rest.
Okay.
Or something that sticks out.
Bear with me for just a moment. I just need to break it down.
Flip through the archives.
Exactly. I made one called a Slow Day. So SLOE Day. That was using mandarin oleo, Hayman Slow Gin, citric acid, and soda. With the mandarin oleo, I decided to be a bit quirky. Instead of going a 1-to-1 sugar, I think I went 3.5-to-1. So it was very thick. And it was done intentionally for oversweetness to contrast the tartness of the gin. And then clear ice, the whole lot, the whole wankshire bamble. Basically, it would be a layered drink made up because it was so thick that all the sections would load up. It was low enough ABV, quite cost effective, and it wasn't one of the massive hitters on the menu. In that the client's not looking at it going, oh, $25 for it. They're like, oh, cool. I think it was 17 at the time, and the median was about 22. So it was much more approachable, really diverse, sweet, citrusy, obscure drink that you could smash 40 of them, like no worries. So once that started getting a bit of traction, that moved really quickly. Otherwise, smoked pineapple daiquiris. That's just a crowd favourite. It always is. It's the theatrics, it's the nuance of doing something Instagram worthy. They're the two big ones that just fly off the shelf more so than what you'd ever expect.
I've got some segments pre-prepared. I don't know if you've seen them. I've done a few of them before, but I don't have them memorized, so I've got to look it up.
No, that's fine.
But let's find out what your bar luxuries are if you had to choose one. So you can choose between a crushed ice machine or pre-chilled glassware.
Crushed ice.
Crushed ice machine or a vertical rinser.
Crushed ice.
Crushed ice machine or a prep shift. Prep shift or a barback.
Barback.
A barback or clear ice.
Barback.
Yeah. Barback's a pretty fucking gun. All right, next
Just
one.
reduces the amount of work for me. I cannot complain with that.
So we're going to find out what your favourite cocktail is. So,
Favorite to drink or favorite to make?
we're going to say drink. We're going to say drink. So you can choose between highballs or margaritas.
Highballs.
Highballs or martinis.
Highballs.
Highballs or daiquiris.
Daiquiris.
Daiquiris or spritzers.
Daiquiris.
Daiquiris or tiki.
Tiki.
Tiki or sours.
Sours.
Sours or old fashions.
Sours.
And sours or Negronis.
Sours.
All right.
Yeah.
Love a sour.
Oh, that is correct. And anyone, I'm sorry if you post this, but anyone that likes a Negroni is lying.
I love a Negroni.
You're lying.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I definitely didn't like my first Negroni.
Yeah.
Actually, these days I like an Americano better. You're right.
Yeah.
Negroni's a bit rocket fuel-y.
Yeah, it's too much. Like, just, you're eating the peels of an orange, and that is the extent of it. I'm sorry.
I say that about coffee. Anyone who says they like coffee, they're lying.
You were just drinking black coffee a minute ago.
Yeah, but I lie to myself.
Okay, fair enough, yeah. It's a punishment thing, though, isn't it? It's like, oh, yeah, I like milk, but I prefer the stomach ache versus black coffee. Yeah, I'm punishing myself. That's, yeah, no, I agree with you.
What else have we got here? I've got a... So, doing a cocktail competition.
Yep.
You've got to choose one ingredient to use, but they're all not great ingredients. So you can either choose between a wasabi liqueur or a garlic-infused gin.
Wasabi.
A wasabi liqueur or a bubblegum and bacon vodka.
Bubblegum and bacon vodka. That is sick.
Yeah. Bubblegum and bacon vodka or a lavender and hot chili tequila.
Bubblegum vodka.
Bubblegum and bacon vodka or a smoked salmon whiskey.
We'll go with the whiskey.
Smoked salmon whiskey or a blue cheese cream liqueur.
Salmon.
Smoked
I could just taste that then. It took me a moment. Yeah.
We've got smoked salmon whiskey or pepperoni pizza schnapps.
That actually sounds banging. We'll keep the schnapps.
Pepperoni pizza schnapps or a tofu vodka.
Schnapps.
And pepperoni pizza schnapps or a kimchi brandy.
Oh, kimchi brandy.
And the last one, we've got a kimchi brandy or a cotton candy bourbon.
We'll keep the kimchi.
Got to thank ChatGPT for those ones. I definitely didn't come up with those.
Yeah, no, they're quite
They're fucking
unique.
wild.
Doing a fat wash for that bubblegum vodka though would be nuts.
Yeah, I fucking googled it. I don't know if bubblegum bacon vodka is like one. Bubblegum bacon is like one flavor. I think someone's created a
Fat wash vodka and then using bacon fat and then infuse it with bubblegum afterwards.
Yeah. I don't know if it tastes good, but
I'm feeling innovative now. We need to find out.
all right. What have we got next?
What do we have?
This is always a difficult one, but I love asking people what their last meal, song, and cocktail would be.
Oh, fuck. All right.
I'm gonna go take a leak. What do you think about that?
Yeah, too easy. Drinks, I'm going to be difficult. There's three of them. There's three drinks.
Let's go.
It's got to be a Trinidad Sour, a Godfather, or a Charlie Chaplin.
Okay.
Any of those three, I'll be complacent.
I didn't see Trinidad Sour coming.
Yeah. It's vulgar. I love it.
Yeah.
It's also most bartenders, one of their least favourite drinks to make because they have to fucking pop open that bottle of bitters. And most of them don't know how to make it because it's one of the obscure classics that most people don't know about. For final meal, we'll go fried ice cream because, again, this is a guilty pleasure. And I'm stumped on songs, so we'll just have to go the final countdown.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you very much for your time today.